Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the weekly Old School Q&A. I'm your host, Mod Wolf, and on the couch today we have Mod Matt K.
Hello.
Mod Kieran.
Yo.
Mod Ash.
Hi.
And Mod Bruno. Sadly, to start on a slightly somber note, we'd like to offer our deepest condolences and sadness for all that were impacted in the tragic events that happened in Florida over the weekend. Following those tragic events, we took time to reflect on our own security arrangements that we have in place for RuneFest. The safety of our community and our staff is absolutely of the utmost importance, and we will continue to monitor and review the security of the event to make sure that we're all as safe as we can possibly be. To support that, we'll also be publishing a code of conduct for all attendees to help ensure that everyone gets to have a great event. A full statement of our RuneFest security procedure is now up on the forums, so please do type !security to read the full statement. Thank you so much for listening, and let's move into the Q&A, guys. Thank you. Ash, my first question for you. I'm not too sure. I didn't prep you, but I have them written down.
This should be
here,
good.
About making friends with my arm.
Yes, I know that.
Yes. The requirements for that we'd like to talk about real quick. Do you want to announce them, talk about them?
Yes. So a popular question was, you told us what the requirements were for the quest, but you didn't say whether boosts would be accepted. Some quests do allow boosts, others have not, and some more recent quests were written where you couldn't even start the quest without having the unboosted stat requirements at that point, which got quite funny, I think, in the case of Monkey Madness 2, where one of the requirements was then sort of never used in the quest at all, but you needed that crafting level, I think, to be able to talk to the NPC about that one topic. It's a requirement. Anywho, so for making friends with my arm, we've gone with a slightly more old school approach, whereby, yes, you can start the quest if you don't have all the stat requirements, but you therefore might find yourself stopped halfway through when you do find the thing you need to mine, or the thing you need to climb, or the thing you need to build, although I really don't see the construction one being the problem for you.
Yeah.
Anywho, so the fire making level requirement, 66 if I recall correctly.
66.
Yep. You can't boost that one. I'm afraid the NPCs genuinely don't want to talk to you about the quest if you don't have that one. So that one, you must get the level for real, no boosts accepted, and you can't start without it. For the mining one, level 72, or the agility at 68, or the construction at 35, correct me if I'm wrong.
Good job. I'm impressed.
It's like I programmed some stuff.
Yeah.
Those, you can start the quest without them, and when you get to the bit of the quest where you need them, you can use boosts. In the case of construction, you can also use your crystal saw and a boost. Again, I don't think that's the one that you're going to have trouble with. And so you can save your stew or your beer or whatever you're using for the moment in the quest when you get to it. I should mention with the agility one though, while I haven't gone full Temple of Light on you, nor Olaf's famous slippery bridge.
That
what the
bloody
heck?
bridge.
Yeah, we know about Olaf's slippery bridge. A slightly higher agility level is advantageous. Not to the point of it being like Temple of Light, but if you go through the minimum, you'll have a slightly harder time than a player who's gone through with a higher level, which is kind of how a skill should be, perhaps.
Yeah. We also have some bad luck in place, a little bit of bad luck protection, just in case you get a little too unlucky and fail a substantially mathematically incorrect amount of times. We'll start to maybe make it more likely that you're going to climb up that agility shortcut, I believe.
Well, we don't want another Olaf incident. I was on holiday that week, but reading about it in retrospect, it was quite amusing to see the discussion in the office about how, no, it's meant to be hard. No, it's meant to be hard. Tell the players it's meant to be hard. 2 days later, okay, it really is very hard. Tell the players we've changed it. This did not make the players happy on the first stance, nor on the second stance, because for the first one, well, they really were quite frustrated, and on the second one, those who had achieved it were quite happy with the fact they'd achieved it, and changing the stance did not seem like it was in response to any new data coming in, just things that could have been done the first time. So we've avoided that.
The real question I think Reddit wants to know the answer to.
If you're going to say what I think you're going to say, wait, because I actually have a question about it.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is really the only question that's really important.
Go on. What is it?
It is, during this quest,
Okay.
does Neve get brought back to life?
I'm afraid, even if we were to sacrifice the life of a well-beloved character, it wouldn't, you know, free up the life force to bring back that person.
Oh dear.
I was really hoping that you wouldn't ask that.
That's 6 months more of these memes to live with now.
Pretty much. I do want.
Of course, we do a you know, a
Monkey Madness 3, Resurrect Neve.
Well, didn't RS3 had that effeminate quest? I think Blood Runs Deep, where you
Go to Valhalla?
Yes, well, maybe that's where Neve and Bob might be.
Valhalla? I don't know. I thought Bob would be.
True, yeah.
I don't know what Neve's background is. I think she's got a lot of relatives with issues.
I've learned a lot about Neve the past week that I really don't think I needed to learn.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna move on from Neve. Sorry.
Who knows what April Fool's Day might bring?
Oh god, yeah. That's,
I want to quickly discuss the mobile beta invites that we sent out yesterday.
yeah, so let's talk about something important.
Yes, real. We had 10,000 closed beta invites. If you're lucky, check your inbox. You might have got one. Of course, tomorrow you'll be able to use that to be able to start playing on your iPhone devices, your iOS devices, which is exciting. We have a little mobile teaser. Ed's been working on some stuff, of course. He's been working on loads of mobile stuff. Can we have that up, please, Mod John? We've been increasing the buttons for the to get into your stuff, which I think looks good. It's a lot more satisfying as well now that it reaches the bottom of the interface thing, so less misclicks in that scenario, which is pretty
It's
good.
nice that they worked out to be even sizes. Like that. It's like we designed it or something.
At one point, and it just coincidentally fell into place. That looks really good, I think. It's mammoth. It's a mammoth button, like I talked there. And then
Mammoth button.
mammoth. And then following on from recent weeks' worth of trend, and we're also going to put the final picture, the picture suggestion, get it all at the start. And this is a runecrafting pouch suggestion. Can you pop that up? And it requires 90 runecrafting to combine all 4 existing pouches into one. It allows a slight increase to XP and GP per hour by freeing 3 inventory spaces. Only good part of wait, what? Runespan?
Yes, they say it's the only thing they like from RuneSpan.
Oh, well, we're not doing RuneSpan. That's not happening.
They just want this bit.
I mean, black background, yellow text. You tell me. Let's have a straw poll, please. Mod Rye for that.
So this isn't an extra pouch. It's
No.
just you will not be able to use these 4 pouches because you've now got this bigger one and it
Yes.
saves an inventory slot. Yeah.
So there's 3 inventory spots, I believe, and then also, yeah,
I want to call it the Mammoth pouch.
I'd call it a mammoth. We could call it a mammoth pouch.
You can get it if you press your mammoth button.
So we'll see.
I think that's a fair award. Like
I think that's
you know,
good. And then a 90 as well.
I know it is. At the end of the day, it's just obviously it's just a straight buff, but
Yeah,
it's
nice.
it's nice. It still looks behind 90 plus.
It speeds up.
Runecrafting is
doesn't
a
it?
very slow skill.
So you speed up from not having to open, empty and fill them all, which is probably quite substantial.
You still have to fill it twice.
Yeah, you're still going to have to open the bag twice, so it's only a little improvement.
Yeah.
If we do that thing, we could fill it with the bank open.
You need to get your spreadsheets out, I think, Kieran.
Get my spreadsheets out.
Yeah.
Are we okay, Mod John?
Throw the numbers through the Kizatron 7000 to see what happens.
Yeah.
Kizatron.
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 Yeah.
Oh, right, named after that. Sorry, I was thinking about we got some kind of kissing machine.
There we go, we should be better. Right, so I'm going to be on to the questions. The first one comes from King, and he asks, can we have the ability to fly to Sophanum via the magic carpet from Narda directly? Currently, you have to stop at Polnivnich first, despite Sophanum being closer.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
There you go, stick on the list.
You look like you had something to say, Kieran.
It can be on the list.
We'll stick it on the list.
It's just because Kieran knows what the code looks like.
Because I'm a lazy mod.
Every single one of those parts where you walk and stop every single bit is manually scripted. So
Is
it's
it?
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh.
So you can test it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, as much as I'd be sorry to remove it, and obviously it's a bad direct buff, we could just make it a fade out to black. You arrive at the destination instantly.
Yeah, so a half measure with a gnome glider style interface.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Cool.
Which would make it much faster, but yeah.
Well, it didn't go down too well last time I discussed it on a stream, but anywho, in the meantime, we seem to have data about a massive pouch.
Yes. Would you like a mammoth pouch? Yay or nay? 85% yay, 15% nay. Might be worth popping on a poll at some point in the future.
Shall we do another straw poll for the magic carpets?
Oh, really?
Would you like to convert them to work like gnome gliders, where you just have an interface?
And it just fades out. And see, I think half the fun is when you're doing the magic.
Don't get me wrong, I liked it. I like it too. But yeah,
But wait, are we polling them on
It's
adding
slow.
this or adding the fade out?
adding the interface style or
Okay,
or the
cool.
fade out, either one.
Cool.
And that would allow you to diversify the destinations.
I think they're going to say no, but I want to see their response as well. So
We'll see, right?
yeah. But overall, generally, we're up for it if you guys are up for it. And we're going to poll you right now, and I'll move on to the next question from admin. Why were elite clues made differently compared to other clue scrolls? Digging at the exact tile, challenge scrolls to the scroll instead of the NPC, etc. Can you explain?
Well, those of us who worked here at the time will recall that there's a lot about the older treasure trail code that isn't very nice. The really old stuff from 04, 05, 06. A lot of it's unnecessarily long-winded and spaghettified with a procedure that's called, trail emote check, that sees, are you on a member's world? If you are, call this procedure emote trail check, which will do the next step of the checks. And since that one wasn't sure whether the previous one had been run or not, it also did a member's world check. And the thing was convoluted from file to file for no good reason. And understandably, when the dev set out to write some elite ones in Old School, he didn't feel constrained to copy the god-awful maths that were there in the older code. So he wrote some things that were different. Now, different is not always... It can be a good thing. Sometimes these were the other kind of different.
There's a summary for why elite clues were made differently compared to other clues. If we have any audio issues going on right now, by the way, guys, we do apologise. We are working on them. And we have the poll results there for would you like the magic carpet interface to behave like gnome gliders? Yay, 63%, nay, 37%. Obviously a lot less support. I think it's kind of nostalgic going on that carpet ride, isn't it? As much more effort it's going to be for you to code it to do that.
Tough.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Stop being lazy.
Well, as long as I don't mind the path is going to wiggle over some very interesting places, I'm thinking.
I did get the...
Can we minimise that, by the way, right? Sorry, Kieran.
I did get the chance when I was doing the master clues to actually rip out a lot of that old code, and a lot of it's been significantly improved, but there's still a lot more to go.
Has anybody not turned off their phone?
My phone is on, but
On
it's on my
airplane.
desk.
Kieran, have you got put airplane mode on?
I don't know, mate.
Oh no, Kieran, you might be ruining their ears. Ash, they did say, could you actually repeat a bit of what you said about the clue scrolls? The chat seems to be requesting.
Well, so some of the older code from the really old easies, mediums, hards from 04, 05, 06, it was not nicely written. It was convoluted for no benefit, and the dev who was making the elite ones did not feel constrained to copy it, which is a good choice. Copying that coding style would have been quite hard for him and really unhelpful for the future of the game as well. So he did things differently.
Why have you got two phones? You see, he pulls out one phone, he didn't, and he pulls out another one and goes,
I thought they were fine on Wi-Fi, but not on mobile data.
sorry.
Actually, I thought that, but anywho, mine is not in this room. So yeah, he did some things differently. Some of them were not. The code is actually a lot better than what was there before. It genuinely is. I mean, it's not the finest glowing example of code ever seen in this world, but it's perfectly decent for what it was doing. Unfortunately, some of the user interaction was also done differently in ways that were not ideal. In retrospect, we would probably have gone for a more similar, more consistent user flow, even if it was done with much nicer code than what was there before. On the other hand, having got it there, the question of why don't we, stop, delete it, rewrite it to be more consistent? Well, we certainly could, but we would spend a blinking long time trying to do it, because once players already have items, once we start tinkering around with how those items work and what the items need to be and what data they need stored on them, becomes considerably harder, because we can't just write a nice piece of code now and design it freely. We'd have to write one that will work with the status quo that you've already got. So we'd be a pretty long time on that, which, sure, we're going to be here programming something. Why not that? Well, because you might want some other stuff as well. And if we said we'd spent weeks and weeks and weeks, at the end of which those worked a bit nicer and nothing else had changed, it's not a very big win for the cost associated with it.
Sometimes we reach for better and sometimes we fail.
Moving on to the next question from Jazz. Can something be... Well done, by the way.
Like this, it feels like you should be holding one of these.
Why?
Oh, just for killing people with.
I could.
He's got a family, bro. Come on, man.
Does he?
Jazz asks, can something be done about Nightshade now that the recent changes have allowed us to gather more? As it's not notable, it can be annoying now that we get multiple. It was kind of a little pun. So yeah. Thoughts?
I raised that one with the dev before we launched it to ask, what their plan was to deal with that. They said that to avoid making it really annoying, they'd cap the number you got at the number of inventory spaces you'd got, so that that's what they said they were going to do. If they did something else entirely, then fair play. But they said they were going to cap it at the number of inventory spaces you'd got, so that you didn't get forced to keep getting more and more and emptying your inventory over and over.
It might be worth having like some form of unique banking method specifically for those nearby. Similar to a leprechaun, instead of noting though, it'll send only belladonna to the bank. Yeah, you crinkled your water bottle and they're not happy with you. Something to at least...
I think it was that.
Make it act similarly?
I don't know.
I'm not too sure. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if the leprechaun wants to teleport that one type of thing to the bank directly, so you pick it, then it would be able to do so for anyone who isn't an ultimate iron person, by the way.
Cool. There's actually a follow-on question from Sursa Dude here, and it's in regards to the recent farming yield changes. Can limpworts require 3 times the amount of seeds, take 3 times the amount of time to grow, but give 3 times the amount of produce to better sync up with herb runs?
Making them take longer and giving more produce is something I'd be quite keen on.
I don't mind that at all. It's a nice way to subtly buff it and make it a little bit better to use without,
Well, it don't change the numbers very much.
It doesn't, right? But it makes it a little bit more convenient.
You don't have to do it constantly, doesn't it?
And if you're doing herb runs to the same places, well, most of the same places, you're fine.
I saw a couple of suggestions for that, but the reason I included this one in particular is that he also added another bit of feedback, which is actually something taking... I always respect when a player is willing to say, I think this is actually too strong, can we take it back a little bit? So I think it's also important to mention. In addition to this, can things like cacti and whiteberries consume seeds when harvested, or similar to herbs, disappear? Because at the moment, now they're getting more resource from it, they just let it grow back and take the stuff off it. I think that is one of those, people won't want that, but it makes sense solutions. I'm not sure though. What do you think?
I'm not sure I understood it actually. So when you pick a spine, you have a seed vanishes from your inventory.
Oh, sorry, no. When you've finished picking your cactus, you then have to grow another one. It'll work like a herb patch instead. Now that it gives substantially more. Similarly, whiteberries, etc., poison ivy, so on and so forth.
We'll look at the numbers in game, what it's actually doing, base it off the actual data rather than opinion on that one, I think, and then we can give the data out and say this is what it's doing.
That is a good shout, I think.
Yeah, I think these sort of things are very... There's a very easy answer to that, and is which way the numbers are going on it. Has it increased massively? Has it isn't? What is too much? What is too little? We can easily do that.
Cool, I agree. I think it's nice to look at the data and see what it said. They haven't heard you say data in a while. They're quite happy.
Get old, oh God, blimey. Get old Lottie onto that.
Good shout.
Yeah. She's probably watching, so she's probably looking it up now.
Chlori or celery? I don't know how to pronounce that. Are there any planned improvements? Yeah. I don't know if they're missing out vowels purposely. I'm going to say chlori. Are there any planned improvements for mobile when it comes to clicking chat options? So I presume like P-choice.
Yes, I believe so. One of our colleagues was working on that. I'm not sure how far he got, but I do expect it's going to be finished and launched.
There we go.
Look forward to that. I'm sure we'll have a teaser whenever it's ready, before it goes out.
Yeah, it's one of those annoying ones because it's just the 4 lines of text, right? And it's a bit hard to click on.
It's even harder if you're using the parchment version that opens in the middle of the screen. That one's easier to solve. You can just increase the vertical spacing between the thingies, like we did on the friends list.
Awesome. Sad asks, now that Ardoin Knights have been nerfed, thoughts on allowing additional coin pouch caps based on the Ardoin Diary? 56 cap for hard, 112 for elite, etc. Thoughts?
It don't break anything. But
You're already getting a buff for picking pockets.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, you already get the improvement to pickpocketing in general with the Ardoin.
You do. I get that I'd like more, of course. And the requirements are not insubstantial.
Thoughts?
I'm not bothered.
You're not bothered either way.
No, I mean, like, the diaries are already what making RD Nights worth doing. So it's just stacking another reward on the same thing again.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
Yeah, it's just a buff for the sake of having a buff.
Yeah.
We brought it down to this level intentionally.
Thoughts? You seem
Yeah.
you had something.
Same thing really, but in buffing it to like 100 coin pouches might be a bit too much. Since we don't want people to just spot it. So they would just spot it for like 5 minutes, come back like 5 minutes later, then click the pouch, keep going. It's fine as it is now. I think we did a good change.
One of the constant issues we have is getting rewards for content.
No,
So
sorry, it's because you're so far away from Kieran. He doesn't stink. You can go a bit closer if you want.
So there you go. That's going to get screenshot. I'll remove before the camera zooms in.
Let me just get on the HR.
Yeah. Where was I? Yeah. So giving a reward for nothing doesn't make a lot of sense, especially how difficult it is for us to get rewards. So yeah.
Cool. I'm going to move on to the next question. Clue asks, could Abigail be moved to the Gypsy Aris hut? New players would likely bump into her more often, and it's more thematic. She is the NPC that allows you to spectate Theatre of Blood if you can't go to Theatre of Blood or Mauritania, I believe.
Oh, her, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't get why she's on the top floor of Lumbridge General Store. It's really out the way, you're never going to see that.
No, she was added to the GE because that was meant to be the place where she was meant to be, and I was also asked to stick her in Lumbridge, and rather than, you know, since she was already in an accessible place, where I put her in Lumbridge was her home, which was not required to be so accessible because, you know, you wouldn't need to go there.
Oh, this one person in the chat thinks it's a waste of time, but I guess if he thinks it's a waste of time, the probably 10-second job to move the NPC aggravates me at times. I shouldn't let him get to me.
Players haven't always been so keen on us cluttering up the popular spots like Lumbridge Courtyard.
Like the Gypsy Aris hut. Everybody goes there.
I'm sorry. Shall I try the rest of that
Getting mad
sentence? So, the Lumbridge Courtyard, which is where I was originally told to stick her, I asked not to do that because, you know, considering how players responded when we offered to put Purdue there, who is quite small, is a dwarf, and who has a very clear use in that area, players felt that this was, you know, very private servery, cluttering up their iconic Lumbridge Courtyard with our new stuff just being bunged in. So we addressed that by sticking Purdue kind of in one of the towers out the way. So he's there, but he's not in your face.
Cool.
With this one, we took her a bit further away since she was already accessible in the GE, and that was all that she needed to be. And I didn't honestly see Lumbridge as an obvious place for her anyway, so I settled on making her home there, where she lives and has a bed and her son's teddy bear and an onion, because she's from a country that felt like it would use onions. Yeah, we can have another one of her in Gypsy Aris's hut.
Awesome. Wondering, I should probably highlight, by the way, because I've not pushed it all to the chat, at Old School RS Mod Rai is taking questions from the chat. If you have any questions, please do send them in. Wondering asks, can the coal bag be given an empty option in the bank and deposit box?
Sure. Hattius question they kept right there, just raised. Can we get rid of Hattius?
We've polled that.
And it didn't work.
It didn't pass.
Why not? What does he actually do?
He came on stream and almost started a revolution to get rid of Hattius.
So what does he actually do? Or to what use does he have to a player?
I think
achievement diaries.
Yeah.
So you go to him and what?
You go to him and collect your achievement diary rewards, etc.
Okay.
It could have been any NPC. It could be Abigail.
So we polled removing him.
Yeah.
Did we poll mugging him? Making all his stuff.
Technically, that's a different
Can
question.
we completely redress him?
Yeah.
So that he looks like a normal character.
Can we do a cutscene when next time somebody logs in after next Thursday, a cutscene where people just see somebody running up to him, a stray dog running up to him and mugging him, running off with all his stuff.
Like dragging away his third age.
Can he also go and get his name changed somehow too?
He could, of course, be killed, and then his replacement turns up, who doesn't dress the same and isn't called the same.
I'm up for polling it again.
Yeah, yeah. Type 1 in the chat if we somehow do that. Replace him with Neve.
Replace him with Neve's dead, guys. Move on. Spoiler, by the way. Could we? Oh, Elite Speaker asks, could we get an official completionist list in game, maybe at the museum? I believe. Bruno, you.
Yeah. So this is actually something I've been working on, and if it is actually something that the players would want, then I would like some feedback on it. I'd even be happy to publish what I've already worked on, the list I've got. It's really dependent on, do people want it? And if they do, what sort of things will they want on it? So would they be happy with the 2,000 hour long grinds? For example, the capes from raids 1 and 2. Those are really long, but they are technically completionists, so would you guys want it on it? So yeah.
Questions like that you want to have the answer to from a bit of a large audience. Are you going to be tweeting that by any chance?
Yeah, I can do.
You can be the only person that sells out this week, because we're not doing what we did last week. Is it at JagXBruno, yes?
Yep.
At JagXBruno. If we can get that in the chat, please, JagXBruno, and keep an eye on his Twitter account, give him a follow, and he'll probably tweet out that list.
That was really effective last week. Mod Monroe got so many followers
It did,
after we talked about at JagXMonroe.
We're looking into getting lower thirds for when we start the stream to have people's Twitters. We are looking into that. We're getting creative services on that. But until then,
we can hold up pieces of paper with things written on them, and they can have a lot of fun with the pictures too.
I love it when they edit those kind of things.
So the OG streams used to have them on the screens behind, right?
Yes. Gosh, that green screen never gets used anymore as well.
Yeah, we need to bring the green screen out and just have our Twitters above our heads. Follow.
That's actually not a terrible idea. But I think Shed doesn't like using the green. Mod Shed doesn't like using the green screen.
Why?
He thinks it looks a little tacky, and I don't disagree. But
I think that's part of our MO, isn't it?
that's right. I think that's like you watch an Old School live stream, Old School weekly Q&A. You tune in, and if the green screen has like a giant Neve picture dancing in the background, that's the kind of this is the stuff these players want. Okay,
we all
people.
We all come in here looking tacky. Why not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of our brand pillars. This is. You know.
It looked even better when John came on the screen in a green T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
With things bleeding through like this greenish pillow, which would look a bit weird on the couch.
Right.
It's a bit weird anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what
I don't know what that is. Can I have a look? I can probably tell you if I can see it.
It might be Halloween,
That
I'm not
is-
sure.
I believe that is Death. It's probably a Halloween event.
Yeah, I think it might be a Halloween event from RuneScape.
RS.
Do we have any old school pillows? I've got an old school pillow.
Yeah, we have some.
I'm special.
None that I'm laying on. But yeah, we have a couple. And
Yeah.
anyway, I'm going to move on to the next question.
Yeah,
Moving
carry
on.
on.
Prime asks, have any of you guys considered looking into poison and reworking it? Currently, P and P+ are only used as junk items for scamming.
Yeah, that's a fair point, isn't it? If it doesn't have much use.
Well, there's not a lot of distinction between poisons for slightly more. Why would you not go for something even better, especially in a game with venom in it?
Yeah.
We could change the chance of poison actually affecting the targets. It's currently a flat rate of, like, I think 1 in 4 by default for melee, 1 in 8 possibly for ranged. We could manipulate that based on how good the weapon was.
Yeah.
Plus, worth pointing in mind that items that are used for scamming can be reported in bug reports, and we actually manually reduce those items to the cost that's more relevant and fitting to them. We do that.
Want to tell them how the bug report thing's found?
Yeah,
Well,
if you
everyone
right-click
seems to
the
know.
report button in the in-game screen, or you can do it on mobile now as well. We had that in a couple of weeks ago. You hold it down, long press. Yeah, it'll open up with the bug report queue, and it gets sent to us. We see it. Well, we clean them out every single day. It's seen generally within the hour. So do send in bug reports if you have them. We do. I promise we look at them. It's part of our job.
I've got a radical idea for poison.
Radical.
Radical, man.
We're going back to the 90s here. So how about, you've got 3 different sorts of poison, haven't you? You've got P, you've got P+, and P++.
Yes.
Yep.
How about they affect different things? So your P poison right, hits your attack. Your P+ hits your strength, and your P++ hits your hit points.
Like
so it
lowers
affects
stats.
different things. So low stats instead of that. Just throwing it out there as a different thing.
We could make disease the next big thing. So
Disease is the
disease
worst
exists and drains
mathematically
stats.
like, it's so...
We're gonna have D++ weapons. That sounds way worse than it was meant to. Sorry.
Do you prefer D or D++? What's your favourite? If you have any suggestions, please pop them on Reddit and we'll look at them. Moving on,
See if we can find them amongst the pictures of different characters.
Yes. Moving on, question from Norvsy asks, can we have some form of indication when a person on a player's friends list is on mobile, as opposed to...
Sorry, what was that?
Can we have some form of indication when a person is on a player's friend list if they're on mobile? So an icon next to them to say they're on mobile, or an icon to say they're on
I
desktop?
assume we know if they're on mobile.
I like that. I think that would be useful
Well,
to
we
know.
know the chat system does not know. Now, we can tell the engine team to make it know and then pipe the information to everyone's, all their friends in real time. That may not be something the engine team can undertake in the immediate future, of course, because they're not quite done getting mobile to everybody in the first place yet. But
we're getting
it's
there.
certainly popular.
Yeah, we'll stick it in the backlog, definitely.
Pretty sure it's there already. It's come up for, well, ever since mobile first went out.
Cool.
I'll keep an eye on that, and when they have some time, we'll probably pop that in. It's
I'd like
Some players say they'd like the opportunity to have a privacy toggle so that theirs would not be transmitted.
Yeah.
So that'd be a little more complexity for engine.
Yeah,
of course,
we
they might
need
just
to.
decline to do it.
I'd like mobile-only worlds.
Oh, no, this is touchy. We've
Nice if people couldn't fake it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's a chance that
Yeah.
could occur, and even if there is a chance, it's something that I'd rather not risk, frankly.
Fair enough.
Especially
I think it'd just be fun.
Well, I think that's what it would be for, to give people an even keel in those situations. And if you've got an emulator that makes it you look like you're on your mobile, but you're not, then you've probably got a bit of a win.
Yeah, I mean, some of those out there already. We've seen bots coming in through mobile that Wheat has been happily hammering.
Happily
Yeah.
phrasing.
Yeah.
Banning.
Ban hammering, you see.
Cool. So if we get the time, then it's in the backlog. We'll pull it to you guys. Likely, potentially even with a privacy toggle if we have the time.
Might be some time though, because even though mobile seems pretty stable for people using it, there's a lot of stuff under the hood still needs refining.
Absolutely.
Including our processes for shipping it out there. We're still not quite where we want to be with the process for uploading updates to it, and that's actually a fairly big deal considering we want to keep doing that kind of thing most weeks.
Cool. Cameron asks, will there be another King of the Skill? And if so, when?
Yes, there will be. It probably won't be in the same guise as the last one. I think some iteration needs to happen to make it a bit better.
It'll likely not have as many awards per se.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we will need to sort of take feedback on the last lot and make it better than the last one. We don't want to do one that's exactly the same, so improvements need to be made. When? Maybe this year. I think there's some things happening later this year where it might fit quite nicely, but that may change as things change in this industry every 5 minutes. So yeah, maybe later this year with a bit of luck. We'll see. We'll let you know.
I'd love to do another one. I loved watching the last King of the Skill.
Well,
It was so good.
It was a good idea as well.
Yes, it was Kieran's.
Yeah, that's what I was giving him a compliment, but without saying it was Kieran. But yeah, good job, Kieran. It was an awesome idea. Next question coming in from Byte asks, can the team look into improving fishing trawler? 12 minutes a run for a low chance of receiving the item isn't really fun, and the activity, and I quote, is soul crushing.
Nice. I love fishing trawler. I think it's one of the best mini games out there.
You pitched a fairly elaborate design for, redesigning it back in 2013.
Yeah.
We didn't get very far in the polls at the time, but
It is
players may
pretty
feel differently now.
soul-crushing. It is pretty painful, isn't it?
What we could do...
Tesla Mortar on Soul Rune.
I mean, if you do it with a bunch of people you don't know, then yes. But if you take a group of friends along, I mean, I know it's probably a bit alien these
I
days.
don't think that's the problem.
A group of friends, you just have a good social time doing
I
it.
think the problem is the best way to play is to auto-click a bucket and empty the water.
Yeah, but it's not working together to achieve.
It's not working together. I'm doing this.
Do you feel that we may have been a bit harsh with the activity bar in there?
Potentially worth looking into.
I don't know, but my solution is to have luck mitigation. Yeah. That's people's biggest problem is that they're going really dry on those fishing trawler pieces, and that hurts.
It's a
It took
sense
me-
of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah,
It
it took me 40 hours to get it on my own account when it came out. So everyone was doing it. There was easily 100 people per boat, but it still took me 40 hours. So
Perhaps looking into some bad luck protection.
Yeah.
Don't change it. Already have angler, by the way.
Oh, everybody else went through it. I went through it, so you have to.
Exactly. Let's take the mod swing.
That is the quote. If there was one quote to like summarise what our players say frequently, and the biggest reason things fail on Paul is because, well, I had to do it, so they have to as well.
So
and I love it.
You talk about what took you 40 hours. Is that 40 hours of actual gameplay time to get it?
Yeah, like about 40 hours worth of games.
Oh.
So
in
it was a
the
long
great
time.
scheme of what RuneScape is and what Old School particularly is, that's not a long time.
It's not meant to take anywhere near 40 hours either.
It might be 40 hours for him, and it might be 2 for that person in the
Maybe 2 for
chat.
yeah.
I think the discrepancy between those is a little infuriating to people.
Yeah, it's 1 in 8 per piece, and what, there's 4 pieces, so that's 32 games as a whole, 12 minutes a pop. Do the maths. I ain't doing it.
At least somebody made it so that you don't, keep getting the same piece you already got. So
Yeah,
that's nice.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I did do that. I wasn't doing that.
Fantastic. Right.
think how much harder it could have been.
It could have been worse. Let's move on to the next question from Clue. I just read the next person's name. From Clue, can the chat made by the game, like "ow" in Pyramid Plunder, not appear in our general chat? It spans the window.
Well, I don't know of any way of making it not appear at all. Deleting it is totally on the cards, and I don't think people would miss it too badly unless they're using it to time something with precision. And if they are, maybe we can find some other way of giving them a signal like that. Deleting it would, I think, be the simplest way of going about it.
If there's a
that
few
also
more.
goes for these Inaris
Yes.
humorous events that happen to you, like you become a frog, or a frog comes and talks at
Oh,
you.
that's a
That's
really
humorous in
slapper
quotes,
that
right?
is.
It was really funny, maybe the first, well,
Yeah,
never funny.
probably never.
no,
It's
maybe
just
not.
annoying.
And then there was that choir. In retrospect, I regret fixing the, well, at least I think I fixed it for Old School. Maybe only this was the other RuneScape. But when that choir with all the heads turns up, if you spoke to it and then clicked away, then it would forget it was following you, potentially, and it would just skid off as a little wandering group of people in a dress together, bothering anyone else.
I like the sound effect you did for the walking off.
Well, how else does a body of 6 people in a dress... okay.
Like it.
Yeah, I do not like it. I do not like those features.
I think this is one of those, we have a couple of ideas that you'd like changed. If there's any in particular that you know of that you'd like us to change as well, let us know on Reddit, let us know on Twitter. We'll potentially look into polling them to get rid of them.
I think I just wanted to let off steam about those frickin' Zenaris things.
Ooh, that's a mild swear. That's a mild swear. Ooh, PG.
You should see some of the stuff we say in the office.
Oh, you see some? Oh God, you should see what I was wearing earlier.
What?
I was sitting next to you all day. I don't remember that.
What else is annoying about Pyramid Plunder? I mean, obviously you
finding
fail
the
and
random-
earn 7 times in a row. It's a bit annoying, but
Finding the entrance.
finding the
Yeah,
first
that's
entrance.
annoying.
What's with that?
I get why they did it, but it's like such a.
Here's the thing, I don't get why they did it. And I asked the developer why he did it, and he said it wasn't meant to be quite like that.
Oh.
What was it meant to be like?
He wasn't sure.
You know what's most annoying? Is you enter the eastern, you're trying to find the right door. You enter the eastern one, and when you exit, you're back at the north, and it's like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Well, that's
So,
right. Use the scepter, right?
You use the scepter.
Right.
But how about we just make it one entrance?
Well, I think it's a benefit of the scepter to an extent, isn't it?
The scepter's still got a way big benefit.
I think devaluing Scepter because of that may not be the... Well, maybe they will spam that. They will now.
It will still hold value because of the altars, but it would make it a lot less useful.
No, poll it, do it. Okay, well, we had all 3 emotions back to
Devaluing
back.
their Scepter, says
Well,
Stephen.
Firstly, we can ditch the part where he at least punches you when we're trying to get in as well. Like, why is there so much code has been spent on these doors for no reason?
Are they different locks as well? They have to be, surely.
I don't know.
Because it's not like it just does a random, you get kicked out. As
No,
well as-
the game knows which is the right one on an internal timer that cycles every few minutes.
Right, okay. Right, I'm going to move on to the next question from Spanky. Can we look into making Barbarian potions a little more useful? Currently, the eat delay that exists on them makes them bad compared to normal potions and food when tick eating. Is there any possibility that it could perhaps have some changes made to it? It didn't specify anything.
The core benefit is meant to be that you can get food from it as well, which means we have to have that food delay on it. But we don't have to, but it would be very powerful indeed otherwise. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what to do with them.
It's not like you're meant to be chugging them anyway, because if you drink like a super attack Barbarian mix, you drink it once and you leave it for like 5 minutes. It's not like you're constantly drinking them.
Yeah.
So
the problem with them is I don't really want to make them the meta because they'd be annoying.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're really frustrating to get. So as soon as they're the meta, everyone will have to get them and will be annoyed by having to go through Barbarian skills as a process.
Is this the kind of thing that like might be not quickly but fixed in terms of is it? Do we leave it or is it? Do we make it 3 doors?
This is we push Barbarian potions under the carpet and never look there again.
I like that response. Thank you.
Unless somebody comes up with a really good solution.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I don't see much effort to. Don't see much need to go and figure out a solution urgently.
Again, I'd say if you have any suggestions that the community kind of likes, let us know and we'll do it. But until then, we're going to.
Have you seen that YouTuber who creates those? He's creating that house out of absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. He just sits in the forest and basically just whittles stuff until he's made, I don't know, a trombone or something with it.
A trombone.
No wonder.
Is this the guy who like lives like he's Bear Grylls?
I don't think he does because he's got the internet to upload videos, so he's probably all right.
But he builds like a furnace out of like stuff he just finds in the forest.
So maybe we could find him in whatever forest he's hiding in and get some ideas from him how we can do this barbarian stuff a bit better.
You know, I found out from Ash the other day that barbarian training was technically written like it was a skill, and it had unreleased things like barbarian woodcutting, which was going to be like yelling at trees or something.
It did have quite a few concepts that were not developed in the end. One of them was indeed shouting at a tree to make it fall over and give you wood. And I think mining with your head was another one, which was dropped before.
This would have been in the game. This would have actually been content in the game. If
so you could have had. You've seen the film Dune.
No, actually, you recommended it to me.
Yeah, you should watch it. But part of the technology they have is using voice to affect real life stuff, so they can blow rocks up with their voice. So maybe it's just voice skill we could put into it.
Let's do
voice magic.
I'm actually interested. Modrai, can you do a straw poll? Would you like new barbarian training methods like head bashing rocks and yelling at trees
with the Kiara sound effect?
No, we're not doing that.
I can't think of anything that's more of a waste of time to go and make.
I agree, but I'm actually interested in their response. I'm going to be on to the next question while we wait for that.
It'd be hilarious to see.
If you yell at the tree, we'll take the bark off and then you do something special with the bark. Maybe you cook on the bark and it infuses the bark's thing into the food to make food better. So bark as a plate type thing.
So, right.
Next question, carry on.
Not only, right, so obviously barb fishing added other things, which are also pointless. Using longbows or light logs. Why? Why? The barehanded
fishing,
harpooning, like
that's not bad. Actually,
that's all right because you save us inventory space.
And that was before hunting,
you know,
as well,
bobtail harpoon does exist.
Did it
now.
exist then though?
I don't know.
I don't know if it did. It could have. But yeah, it has some benefit, that one at least. That one.
But you know, the woodcutting one, you wield an axe.
Barbarian. Right now, what efficient players, in fact, any players would want right now is you go barbarian training. There's a spot over there, and they have these things that give you lots of XP. See ya. Use this rod. That would be barbarian training right now. That's all they want.
You could get a boost to your hand-to-hand fighting, so you don't have to carry weapons around.
Would you like new barbarian training methods like shouting at trees and headbanging, mining, straw poll? Yes, of course, at 74%. That's a surprisingly high. Can you minimise that, Rye?
74%, that means we can never ever do it at the end.
Yeah, it's not.
They're trolling us, really.
I do think they are as well. So I'm going to move on to the next question from Goo.
For what it's worth, I think I do understand the idea of skills done in a new way. Because in the real world, you actually could light a fire with a bow, and you can guddle fish with enough skill.
Teasing them, you have to like.
Yeah, and
yeah. That wasn't on camera. I don't think they got the guy on camera. So I was like,
God, this hope not.
you have to bait them. Pretend you got little wriggly worms.
Yes, and I can see the thinking of let's have that in the game because. It would be a new way of using the skill. It's realistic. It feels more immersive that you can do these things. And then, like spit roasting, that thing that requires a fire-making level and to use an iron spit in your bird to cook it on a fire.
That's an action they're going to GIF. I just saw that on screen, and that's going to be top Reddit today.
It sounds like a great idea, but you start asking, why would a player want this? And in the case of all those people who want to light a fire but haven't brought a tinderbox, but do have a longbow, I think that's where the gap might have been in the usability.
Yes. What if we renamed Barbarian skills to Jedi skills?
I really want to move on from this question. You have no idea.
I mean, we've got some serious topics to discuss.
Well, actually,
like other massive, how many big gaping gaps are there in skills that we have at the minute? Shouting at trees is clearly one. I want to know what your other major problems with the game are. Send them into JagXRI right now in the chat.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss.
Well, the first one's going to come through. Neve being dead.
Well,
That's
actually,
the biggest problem.
On the topic of serious
Real
questions,
problems. I want real problems here.
On the topic of serious questions, the next question to come up is from Goo, and it is, could we have a Neve painting for our player-owned house after completing Monkey Madness 2? We'd all love a picture of our favourite Slayer.
No, they can't, because they'll go blind.
Well, would the players like to maybe help us design what it should look like?
Well, player design content. Most upvotes on Reddit is the one that we'll choose. How about that?
You're making that promise, I am not.
I'm not making any promise. I'm just suggesting potential ways that CM can interact without... No.
Carry on.
Fantastic. Kyle asks, can we have a spice cupboard added to our player-owned house kitchen? This could hold the 16 slots currently used in banks for different spices obtained.
Oh,
I like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's cool. Yeah.
Because they are a pain.
Yeah.
Didn't we add a decant thing for those?
We have... Oh, does it work with decanting?
I don't recall. We could have made it do a decant thing. We may not have done though.
I can't remember.
Ugh, feedback. Oh, that's completely positive.
Absolutely. Stick it on your list of things.
I like that one. Highlight that one. Mod Rock is upstairs highlighting the questions that we say yes to so that we can add them to our backlog, by the way, which is exciting. So, yeah, highlight that one, Mod Rock. Thanks, Kyle. Good suggestion. Great suggestion. Pi asks, when in Resizable... Oh, we've got a question?
No.
Oh, I thought you were... Sorry.
No,
when
in my face.
When in Resizable mode, could the logout button fill the empty stone tab instead of being in the top right corner? Perhaps the toggle. I've got an empty stone at the moment, I think.
Why not
It was empty stone.
Why not both?
Yeah, it does.
I love that meme. But I agree. Thoughts?
Yeah.
I have no problem.
Makes it easier, yeah.
It does make more sense.
Well, it was simply put in the top corner to copy the pre-EOC version of the game frame. Maybe that made no sense either, but it's what players seemed accustomed to at the time. If they decided now it makes no sense, then sure, we can change it.
Personally, I never use it. I just have escape signed to the logout.
I do as well.
I prefer the other layout.
When you're in Resizable and you click the X,
Yeah.
does it shut the window down immediately?
No, it opens
No,
up.
No.
open
That's the
sleep.
other thing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, stick it on that. Yeah.
So it basically moved the exit button from the bottom on a fixed screen to an X in the corner, but that button's still there, it's just empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Both
So-
seem sensible to me.
Fantastic. We'll probably pull that one. Stinky Ogre asks, how possible is it to add a spectate feature for Chambers of Xeric?
I don't think that would be very easy to retrofit now. You know the code better than me.
The cog's going. I can see him thinking about it right now. It's quite fun to be sat here and watch.
Yeah, you can feel the warmth coming off. It's not actually that hard. We just have to have defined places where the player is put, and if they're in those places, they're a spectator and should not be hoofed out like any other player who's not in the party. The tricky bit is getting a good view, as you may recall from Theatre of Blood, where you can't. So that would be a fair bit. Well, it's not that hard, but it's still a chunky thing to program and implement and have a thing for going between the places where you can be, and the view still wouldn't be as good as finding somebody on Twitch who's doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, playing Chambers of Xeric.
Another thing is, in Theatre of Blood, everyone's in the same room, whereas in Chambers of Xeric, everyone's on the whole floor.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they can be on any floor.
Yeah,
So it doesn't
you would
kick
need
them out.
you would need a system in a spectator to be able to jump and move between each room.
Yeah, which isn't hard.
No, that ain't too bad, but it ain't gonna be a quick one. That's for sure.
I reckon it would take slightly longer than doing the Theatre of Blood one, which took me, it only took me a day.
It's not too bad, really.
That's the kind of stuff we want to hear.
Well, marketing was really keen, and I was found just how well the Theatre of Blood code already supported it and made the head-up display already work without any extra code being needed. I was quite pleased with that one.
I don't want to get everybody's hopes up too highly, and it's not going to come out next week. But
yeah, I'm spending that day doing some other stuff, unfortunately.
But it does sound like something that we might pull in the future and potentially add. So
on the topic of these spectator things, the Orb of Oculus, what we got, it's a very restricted thing at the moment. I was a bit disappointed it had to be. See, it turned out that the features that I was using to write it were added to the engine for internal staff use only, and they are not stable, like using wrong client crashes. So we were asked not to make them too widely available, which is why we can't go with the obvious thing of saying that when you're in the spectator area in Theatre of Blood, then it's like you've got an Oculus orb, because that would have been the obvious way of going about it. Give you a free flying camera if you're in that spectator thing, leaning on the wall or whatever you do. If that's ever possible to get improved, then we'd love to, well, firstly, give everyone the orb and stick on Django, why not? And secondly, automatically apply it if you're in the spectating places, then you get a view worth having. That's the thing I've got about the Chambers of Xeric spectator thing. It's not that it would take me a huge amount of time to implement. I really think I could be done in a couple of days. But you'd still get a lousy view when I've done it. And given how many people do stream, there are better ways of seeing stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to answer some of the chat questions. We've got quite a few in there. Modaiza asked, why did you ignore my 7-month resub? And the answer to that question is because you mean nothing to me, Ben. Next question from Frags for you. I've been wondering about this since 2007. Why is there no anvil? I love you, really. Why is there no anvil in Lumbridge for smithing or no furnace in Barrock?
I assume it was a balancing thing when it was first done, I would guess. You have to go from one place to do one art to do something else.
Of course, in the earliest days, I don't think there was a bank in Lumbridge.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So that came with some tutorial improvements long after Lumbridge first came about. So it wouldn't have been all that interesting to people. I think it was, for a long time, they just kept us a place either has an anvil near a bank or a furnace near a bank, and it went a very long time before we gave them both.
Yeah, no, I think when I played back in 05, it was always a case that you would go to Falador to do your smithing, and then you'd go to Varrock to do your hammering. And we always assumed back then, because I was a player back then rather than worked here, we always assumed it was because if you did both at the same time, you'd get a lot more XP a lot more quickly, because you would get twice the XP rather than having to do twice the runs.
I suppose it also made two places viable to train in rather than one.
Exactly. So I think originally that was probably the reasons.
Imagine using Falador as a furnace and not Phasmatis back then.
Well, imagine if the world stopped at the River South and there was nothing on the other side of it.
Exactly.
Mauritania not being a thing.
Mauritania was there in 05, wasn't it?
Yeah, but free-to-play plebs. Like,
Mauritania
You just got Mac here.
Mauritania
pleb.
came out in like 04-ish, but if you go really far back, we didn't have it.
Yeah, Mauritania was definitely around back then.
I don't think, for the fair, I wouldn't mind adding an anvil next to the Lumbridge furnace because that's quite far from a bank.
It is, yeah.
I wouldn't add it like in the best furnace closest to a bank, for example.
yeah.
For what it's worth, the blast furnace, the anvils in that little enclosure there, the code for that is called smithingguild.rs2. It thinks it's a smithing guild. Now, as guilds go, it's what you might call a small one, but the dev clearly thought he was writing a smithing guild.
I'm going to bash through a couple of these questions real quick and just politely remind Mod Bruno that we don't call our valuable free-to-play.
No offense. Like, I used to be one of those in 06. Like,
fantastic.
I used to smith in Faladar. Actually, no, I used to smith in Al-Kharid.
And
it was even closer.
Jumping on.
See, what you've got to remember is in 05, I wasn't a child, therefore I had a job.
Exactly.
Oh, you were just cheap.
I could pay the £3.20 a month.
You were just cheap.
Certainly in 02, when I was doing training mine, I think I used Al-Kharid quite heavily because there was a mine there was a furnace there, and I sold the bars rather than smithing them.
I'm still on a
But that was-
£3.20 rate, I think.
I'm still on £3.20 rate as well.
Yeah.
Why are you paying?
Me too.
I'm not paying, but because memberships never lapse, because obviously...
Not that we pay anyway because we work here,
Yeah,
but
I've got about 10,000 days of membership on my account at the moment, I think.
Oh, have they done that? Because they gave me 5,000 when I started and it ran out.
then he
last
ran out.
year.
Yeah.
It was when, what's his name? Really cool guy was in the army, whose name I've forgotten.
Which one?
Really cool guy was in the army. He was
Action
Captain Janaway.
Yes, yes.
He was a captain. His name was Janaway.
Yeah, mod captain it probably was. He gave me like 20,000 days of membership, and I've still got 10,000 of them. So
Ah.
yeah, there you go. Anyway, yeah. Sorry guys. Apologise. You missed this really, didn't you? I know you did.
Canada A asks, any way to remove the chat bar from mobile? I keep misclicking it and the keyboard keeps popping up. There
Yeah,
is,
it was
for
just
the record.
Is there? Okay.
If you tap the all button, it'll minimise it.
Yeah, cool.
The Sinister 666 Monka S asks, is Black Graceful Recolor still happening? Please, I can't sleep until I know.
I do feel this is one for Modrai.
Modrai,
Yes.
Can they hear him?
is it still happening?
Yes.
Yes, supposedly. I don't know how, because we're all against it except him.
Yeah.
We've got.
He's got plans.
If I couldn't ditch the ditch, you gotta have Black Graceful.
Right.
You know, that might be sneaky, but if you vote in ditch the ditch, we can do Black Graceful any day of the week. Like.
He'll do it tonight. He can do it like that. He'll give it to you in like 30 minutes. He just doesn't want it.
I still
about
think the best way to ditch the ditch was to get players to fill it in with buckets of mud.
Buckets of sand are the big hot topic at the moment. You haven't been on the stream for a while, but it's all about buckets of sand.
Yeah,
now.
buckets of
On the
sand.
next poll.
Yeah, we're having.
Well,
Okay,
Graceful.
the next
No,
poll.
buckets of sand.
We are having the sandstorm spell and bucket packs added. Confirmed. Stop asking about it. Every stream they come up, every chat question.
You brought it up this time.
We're fixing it. I promise. It's good news.
I mean, in all seriousness, as much as I joke about the Black Graceful thing, if there's a good position to be able to add it, sure.
Yeah, it's the same as everything else. If it's a good reward, we just need the content that it ties into, because we don't want to give away rewards for nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult for us to find them.
Right. So yes.
Maybe a new agility course and some new content sometime.
Around the Black Knight's
That's
Fortress. Oh, Black Knight Fortress agility course. Oh, that sounds cool.
You have to
Just
use
stand up the side of the.
you have to take your helm and chain body.
At least we've got some artists these days, unlike in 2013 when we first made the rooftop courses.
I
and had
love
no
the ball.
artists.
I love the ball. The
broomstick.
vault. Yeah, the broomstick. I was talking to Mod West about actually changing it into a broomstick and the animation purposefully being like you're flying across it because it's Mauritania.
It is a broomstick. What are you on about?
It's meant no. When you click on it, it says pole vault.
It's definitely
It's a
a
dodgy
broomstick.
pole
like.
vault.
Is it? Is there anything on the end, or is it a well-plucked broom that you're?
It's basically a staff.
It's a plucked broom.
Along with the original design of the rooftop agility courses, there was also a whole load of buildings we wanted to plan a route up to the top of, so you could climb up to the top of these really iconic buildings. Just never got the time to do it, but that'd be a cool thing to add in at some point.
Certainly, some of the buildings around the Maya Ditch area are very well suited to this kind of thing. In fact, you already do have to climb Lady Verzik's thingy.
I would like more things like the agility pyramid, because that's really cool. It feels good when you get to the top of that. What else could you do? Agility tombs? I don't know.
I want to ask this question from Dylan because it's one that you can answer, Mod Kieran. It's any updates on left-click cooking on ranges? Other than it took a lot of time for you.
I had to rewrite all of Cooking on Fires and Ranges to do it, but it is in QA currently.
Yeah.
The focus is currently to work on Dead Man and a bunch of other little things, so we haven't had the time to actually go on to fully testing that quite yet, but I believe Mod Bruno is going to be testing it, right?
Yep, that's true.
Good luck.
It is worth highlighting because it is a full skill rewrite. It will take a little bit longer than what you'd imagine for a left-click range, which sounds pretty basic. I can assure you.
Yeah, adding the so the poll text only specified that I would add text saying cook on all the ranges. That took 10 minutes. I mean, it wouldn't do anything. It just come up with a message saying hi, but it did fulfill the poll's requirements. But I figured I should do what you probably thought it was going to do. But that required. So basically, code was on Lumbridge range.
Oh, I don't even want to talk.
Because it has better stats for cooking. Code was on every other range, and then fires, and all of these were separately. There's loads of exceptions for things like the cooking gauntlets, which only apply to a random subset of food. Even the lumber's range only applied to a random subset of food too.
Mostly newbie food in that case.
Yeah. Pies, heavily, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
So I had to combine all of that. All of this information about each food, each raw item, and which can be cooked, and then each cooked item, I had to put into data structures so we could actually read them universally. And now there is one set of cooking code for fires and ranges, and we can even add a left click for cooking on fires if we so wanted to now. Like, I wouldn't suggest we put it on all fires because that'd be really obnoxious, but we could put it on the permanent fires like the one in Rogue's Den, which isn't going to get it at the minute. But
I've never seen a man more broken than Mod Kieran, and walking past him for the 3 days I think he was constantly on this job, deleting and rewriting the entirety of cooking. It was quite funny, actually. A little bit of schadenfreude, but it's coming.
I feel amazing now. It's
Yeah,
done.
now it's done. Now it's done.
Now that basically adding an item for cooking now is so easy. It's great.
Is it a better feeling or worse feeling than 99 Runecrafting?
I don't know.
You got it, ZMI. Have you ever seen
I have got 99.
Mod Kieran's ZMI YouTube guide? Fantastic. Fairy Tales RS, great guide. ZMI, #1. There you go. Little shout out for you. But I am going to end the stream there. We have a couple of questions. We will keep them for next week. We'll talk about them then. And I'll go ahead and say thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful week. Bye.
Bye-bye.